Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to see you here so early in the morning for such a serious and important topic. When I was first speaking with Steffi and the talented team who put this conference together, and I said I'd really love to talk about violence in the most all-encompassing way that we can, because I really do think of violence against women and girls as the mother of all issues. And gratefully, Stephanie not only agreed with me, but she literally put that in the title of the panel. So many of you have come to me yesterday and said, so what do you mean, the mother of all issues? What I mean is, but you agreed. What I mean is what we have already heard in several other panels. No matter what the subject is, if we're talking about education, we're talking about economic empowerment, we're talking about equal access and opportunity, women and girls cannot take full advantage of any of that as long as they live in fear, as long as they are victimized and brutalized, as long as they are kept silent, out of sight, restricted in their movements because of the fear of violence or cultural taboos. So violence against women and girls comes in all forms, as we'll hear today. What is your image when you think of violence against women? Do you think of a woman or a girl being beaten or assaulted by a husband, a boyfriend, a life partner? Well, yes, that is the most pervasive form of violence everywhere in the world, the violence that happens inside a woman's home. Or do you think of the 1 in 3 women in the world who will be raped in her lifetime? Think of what that means. Look around you. That means 1 out of every 3 of us sitting in this room, according to United Nations statistics, could be a victim of rape. And as you heard yesterday from the NATO chief, the wonderful woman who spoke of their efforts to decrease the amount of violence against women in so many parts of the world, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, 1 woman is raped every 7 seconds in that country. This is a statistic that doesn't say anything very good about all of us everywhere in the planet. Or is your image of violence a woman or a young girl who is kidnapped from her village or sold by her family into the ever-growing sex trade that is happening again in nearly every country in the world? Or is your image of violence against women and girls that the violence that happens when women step outside their safety zones, outside their homes, outside their restricted boundaries, and take to the streets demanding change? All of those images are real. And so is the image of the lack of accountability for all of that violence. And yet we know it touches every single person, from the CEO of a company whose company is losing millions of dollars a year because of days lost from violence against women and girls, to each and every person who holds in our heart accountability for our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, our friends. So today on this panel, I hope what we can look at with fresh eyes, with open hearts, is violence in all of its forms, represented today in 3 particular cases, 3 particular countries, but violence as an issue that we must own, and in our own and individual and collective ways, find ways to end. Because until it ends, women and girls will never be fully realized in their potential, and they will never fully capture all of their rights as human beings. And they will never fully, as the Chinese say, hold up half the sky. We have an amazing panel this morning. I wanted to start with Hibaaq Osman. Hibaaq is a Somalian Muslim living in Cairo. She founded Karama, which is an organization, Karama meaning dignity in Arabic. Karama works with Muslim women's communities in 22 different countries, building bridges among them so that they might break through the barriers of violence and all of the issues to their freedom and movement. And of course, Hibaaq was in Cairo recently during the front lines of change there, and will talk to us about that. Lorea Canales is a Mexican lawyer, journalist, novelist. And what she will share with us today may surprise many of you, how many hundreds of thousands of women and girls are being brutalized and victimized in Mexico with almost no accountability. And why is the question she will ask. And then Somali mom, who Maria referenced earlier in our opening this morning. I had the great privilege of meeting Somaly some time ago as well, and knowing about her work and hearing her story, and you will, if you have not heard it, find it almost unfathomable that this woman spent more than a decade of her life in the sex trade traffic and brutalized and raped repeatedly, escaped finally, and now has devoted her entire life to trying to gain the freedom of girls in the sex trade, as well as ensuring that it never happened to another woman. I'd like to begin this morning with Hibaaq, because I think the Arab Spring is one of the most hopeful signs when we look around the world for signs that this violence may be ebbing and that women may be speaking in a different voice and being heard in a different way. Hibaaq, would you begin by taking us to Tahrir Square, to the role of women, which was clearly different and new, the violence that followed, and how you now assess the situation for women in Egypt and throughout the region?
That's a tall order, but I certainly will try to. Yes. Okay. It's exciting times, it's hopeful times, it's turbulent times, it's times of uncertainty, and it's time in the Arab region of hope. I think if anything, what people have gained so far, it's the hope that things can change, that people were able, and women were able, to bring change to dinosaur dictatorship, in Egypt, in Tunis. So it's a very hopeful time. Women were, we moved from women who were not allowed to go out, women who had to think, many times, before you leave your house, what to wear, what to think, how to say, how to walk. I mean, you didn't have a safe space in many places, because as a woman, you have to always think twice, It's, in many places, it's not just, you cannot just wear what you want and just leave, You have to think, where am I going, and all that. So, and it went, the women were out into women who really found their voice and who were at the front lines and who were standing next to the men and who were demanding change and who wanted to be represented. People came, I think what's different in the Arab Spring, and many people say, we shouldn't really call it a spring, because a spring changes and autumn comes and summer comes. So I think it's, what's so different is this was really very personal. It didn't happen, it was not ideological. It wasn't hatery because people hated the West or anything. It was so personal. People wanted jobs and health and education and housing. And I think that everyone saw themselves, in that revolution. Everyone, when the first wave of people went into the Tahrir Square or the change squares, it was because they needed change in their personal lives. Because for a long time, I think the West has been trying very hard, democracy, human rights, and justice, but it was not practical. So for a moment, people really translated all of these issues to their personal lives. So they went there, and the women were part of it. Women were good enough to speak and to articulate and to be next to men, covered women, uncovered women, educated women, uneducated women. Everyone saw themselves in that square and joined. The funny thing is, here were women who were not who were not politically, who were basically deprived from many freedoms. The freedom to wear what you want, to freedom, to go to be educated. You talk about violence. Violence is depriving women from fully participating in society, politically, culturally, religiously, in every which way. So here, women just went there, and no one said, the women should really stay behind. They were good enough to be at the front line, at the center, and to be screaming with the men to say, we want change, we want to be represented, because they wanted change to come to their lives. So women were very articulate, very political, and very sophisticated in that sense. And of course, the media always concentrated on women are uncovered, so I mean, women who are, the hijab and the non-hijab. And I always find it very interesting when France is, is banning the hijab for women. And I'm always also shocked the ones that are also forcing women to wear, to force them to wear, to cover up, and the ones that are really forcefully trying to, make women to uncover. Both of them are forcing. Basically, woman does not have the right to wear what she wants to wear or what she wants to think. So I think the Arab Spring, for the lack of a better word, really has proven that women are a full, are absolutely part of the society in a big way, and it was because of their voices, including others, that brought the change. But what was shocking was that happened between January and February. And March, when the women, and we were all excited, and women actually were sleeping next to men in the tents, and there was no sexual harassment, and Egypt has been known for sexual harassment, big time. And we're like, oh my God, something has changed. Then March comes, and the International Women's Day, and we got there, and oh my God, I mean, there were men who were in full force, screaming, saying that women cannot run for presidents, women cannot do this, what do you think you are doing? Extremely, using, a language that's not proper, very, very angry. And, a few weeks down the road, conservatives were really planning to repeal all the laws that women have succeeded. The divorce law, where a woman, qawla, which means that a woman has the right to divorce if she doesn't want to be, married anymore. The custody law, which was in Islam, a woman can keep the child until he or she is 10 years old. The right to travel. So within weeks, already people were already planning what laws they're going to take. And what was even more dangerous was they were trying to tie all these, laws that women have gained for the last 30 years and say, well, this was part of the Susan Mubarak, which means that, they wanted to change the public opinion and say all these rights are associated with the regime that has been, that we have got rid of. So it's very strange that in a way that you have, here are the women and they're fighting for rights and they're, doing all of this. And immediately within weeks, you have others who are conspiring to take all the laws. What was even more shocking is when the new government came and they started setting up a committee for the constitution drafting, they didn't have women there. But guess who they had? They had two men who were leaning towards conservative, very conservative men. I would not say what party they belong to, because I will be a broken record. But they really were conservative, and that's it. There were no women. And then when the government appointed, now this is all of the changes, that the women were really there. Actually, women have paid their lives. The 3 women died in Egypt, and their blood stains are still on Tahrir Square. But yet, within weeks, others are really conspiring to take all the laws that women have gained. So it's interesting times where women are really saying, first of all, it's very difficult. I'm sure many women will relate to this statement. It's very difficult to bring every woman together to agree to everything. But the interesting thing is they're politicized now, that they can come together on issues. It's not about let's create a movement, but on issues. And they have come together and they have done a lot of press on why under women in the Constitution Drafting Commission, Why do we have only one minister when our bloodstains are still in Tahrir Square? Why, you know, and all of this. But they came up with 3 issues that are extremely important, and I think this is where the war, and I would not say fight, where the war is going to be in the Arab region. It's going to be on the constitution. What laws are going to be there? Are the right laws that to protect women and to promote women's rights are going to be there? And, you know, and I think what they have come up with now is all the organizations are talking about political participation in a meaningful way. We need policymakers who are committed to change the law. We need to be in the National Assembly where we can identify key women and experts who can be part of the Constitution Commission to draft laws. And what's happening now is that then the discussion has changed again into, I think we should have, again, the conservatives are again getting together saying, no, what we really need is we should, first of all, go into the elections, and the most organized, the most financed political parties are the conservatives. So they're saying, no, no, we need to have that, you know, we need to have elections, and once we have the National Assembly, then we should really think about drafting the Constitution. And you know what they are thinking? They are thinking, okay, we're going to take 50% of the National Assembly, set up the commission, and that's it. And then in 4 years, they will be running, you know, the country. So the problem is now we have to really, where Karama is trying to work with women's groups to identify key women who can run for political office, who can become the policymakers, who can change the laws. But it is a fight, because every day something changes. And let's be very clear here. It's not only the conservative or extremists who really are working against women's rights. It's also politicians and traditional political parties. Because if you look at the history of the political parties, none of them have women in leadership positions. It's only now after the change that they have thought, okay, we're going to have maybe 2 women and all of this. So it's good to say there are women now in the political parties. Women are very conscious and very politicized and are really concerned because they have related to policymakers who are going to be in government to what the food that their children are going to eat, the school they are going to go, and the health.
Thank you, Hibaaq, for reminding us that full political participation, or the lack of it, is a form of violence. And what we have witnessed in Egypt and in other places in the region in North Africa is we've seen women rise up against the barriers, against the stereotypes, against the cultural taboos, and demand a political voice. And we have seen just yesterday in Egypt, it's not easy, as there will be occasionally these violent uprisings to suppress that voice again. We'll come back to talk about how you see the future with a greater and more equal political participation. So, Lorea, many people are surprised when they see the numbers of women who are raped, murdered, brutalized in your native country of Mexico. And what will probably surprise this audience even more is how absolutely, almost impossible it seems to hold anyone accountable for this violence. Can you describe the situation and how it is impacting absolutely everything that goes on in Mexico?
Yes, every day in Mexico, 6 women are killed. And 4 are killed by somebody else, and 2 are suicides. A friend of mine, she's the grandmother, her granddaughter committed suicide at 16 because she was pregnant. She told her parents that she was pregnant. The parents were appalled, and 2 days later she was dead. It is not appropriate to kill yourself because you're pregnant. It is not appropriate to have a culture that makes that happen. In Juarez, we've been having a horrible situation. More than 1,700 women have died in the last 15 years. And at the beginning of this, we would say, well, what's happening in Juarez? And people even from Juarez would say, like, oh, no, those are the maquila workers. Oh, that happens in the desert. That does not touch us. And so when you come in a country that has a very classist society, a very racist society, and an enormous amount of poverty. The government has traditionally turned blind eyes to this until it becomes a problem, until the world is watching, until we have an indictment from the International Court of Human Rights saying, you have mistreated the woman. You have systematically failed the Mexican woman. In the state of Mexico, which is right by the capital of Mexico, it's one of the most populated states, in the last 5 years, 922 women have been killed. And they just changed the laws now in Mexico City, and they called it femicide. So there's a special in the penal code, in the criminal code, which is murder against woman for being a woman. Not just murder for, I don't know, you got hit by a gun. It is against women. Most of the times you're raped or beaten before that happens. Now the general attorney of the state of Mexico is saying like, no. Of the 500 deaths we had last year, only 250 were from the state. 250, we don't even know who they are. And of those 200, 20% were drug violence. And this, even the president of Mexico has said, we have 35,000 people killed in the last 5 years. It's more than the US soldiers in Iraq. I mean, it is a big war, big problem. But the president consistently says, oh, it's the bad guys. It is the drug dealers killing each other. It's like, so we don't know what's happening. There's no accountability. 98% of crimes in Mexico get unreported. Only 2% of the people actually go to the general attorney and report the crimes because there's no trust in the system. Absolutely no trust in the system. So 20% of those 200 that we know of were drug killers. 20% were femicides. They were violence against women. And the numbers, it was funny of his speech because yesterday I was seeing them. They don't even add up. 10% were robbery in the house. So it's completely decomposed. Society is completely decomposed. The justice system is completely decomposed. And the victims are women. And the reaction of the government, the reaction of Peña Nieto, who's probably Mexico's next president, is like, oh, it's nothing. It's minimize it. This is nothing. The woman is nothing. And there's no sense of what it is. And still, today, the other reaction is, oh, well, you want to go out. They're going out. They're drinking. They were wearing miniskirts. So the other reaction is, if you don't want to get killed, get in the home. Because the ones who are being murdered are out in the streets. Better news, slightly better news, is there is an increasing awareness of this. And 2 weeks ago in Mexico City, there was a march. More than 10,000 women marched. It's a good number, 10,000 women, but not in Mexico City where, we broke the dancing Thriller Michael Jackson record with like 100,000 people were dancing to Thriller, such a big city. But it was called the Marcha de las Putas. And putas is a big word, and basically Mexican women were saying, we are allowed to be outside, we are allowed to wear miniskirts, and don't harass us. And there's an increasing awareness of this, but there's no sense that the violence will actually stop. And it starts very early. It starts in the school systems, and it starts in the relationships with teenagers. Already, so many, even of my friends will say, oh, you have permission to do this. I'm like, permission? Like, oh, yes, your husband gave you permission to travel. They're like, I was not aware I needed permission, but it's very ingrained, this subserviency and this objectification of women and this feeling you are not valuable, and then as a whole society, feeling these lives amount to nothing.
And Lorea, you mentioned femicide, which is also being used as a term in other countries where there really is a systematic approach to destroying women as a means to destroying community. It's the tear, it's the ultimate tear in the cultural, spiritual life and political life, top to bottom. As a lawyer, you have also witnessed that it is almost impossible to get in the court the conversation that the woman is not, she is the victim, not in some way the perpetrator or the cause of her violence. Do you see this changing?
No, it was horrible. We've been working for the last 10 years to make oral proceedings in Mexico. Mexico right now has inherited from the French, it's a written system, so everything is written. And the judge never sees a person, they just see documents. And this is very bad, it leads to a lot of corruption because never a witness is seen, never the victim is seen, and everything just happens through document. Basically, when we had a 70-year dictatorship, it was very useful for them to control the criminal system, and so the prosecutors could just get anybody they wanted to in jail, and the judges were collided with that. When 10 years ago we opened the system to democracy, all of this unravels because it suddenly doesn't work very much, and the gangs, the drug gangs, it's the same thing. Suddenly they're not working with government, they're not working with this very strict system. So we've been saying we need oral trials. We need to have a panel of 3 judges. We need to see the victims. We need to speak. The Constitution was changed. We managed to change the Constitution. So that was very important. The waiting period to implement it was put in 8 years. So we've been 2 years. We still have 6 years to go. It's terrible because politically, and Calderón doesn't need to do it because he's going to be out of office, and the next one sort of doesn't need to do it. So everybody's rolling the ball, and the changes have been very slow. But the states have to do it themselves. So Chihuahua, which is Ciudad Juárez, has implemented it, and they have now in their local system these oral trials. But what happens? A young girl has been raped systematically by her stepfather since she was 7. She goes to the court. She says this to the court. And the judges say, oh, how long have you been raped? Right now she's 14. 7 years. And they say, oh, but you accepted this. You didn't fight it, you accepted this. There's another case, also from Juárez. The man had marks here, she had the marks here that he was strangling her. And she tried to defend herself with a knife. And they said, like, oh no, you wanted it. It was hard play. Yeah? And if the culture doesn't change, and the understanding of what constitutes safety and harassment and violence, there's nothing you can do, even with the courts, even with the constitutional changes. So I think we have to dig in deeper and change the culture, but not to go back into the house and pray every day and go to church. No, that cannot be. It cannot go there. It has to go forward.
What you and Hibaaq have both pointed out is that violence will not end until guarantees are in the Constitution, until the law protects women, but that will never be enough. The change has to begin in the home and in the way in which we perceive ourselves as women and as men. And to talk about violence in any form and to accept the reality that in today, 2011, in nearly every country in the world, women and girls are being held as slaves. It's unfathomable that this could be going on. And for many, many years, when people would talk about sex trafficking, we would always say, well, that's happening in Southeast Asia, or that's somebody else's problem. Last year, 7,000 cases of sex trafficking were brought in New York State. 6,500 people were arrested in the state of Georgia in the US. Sex trafficking is the single biggest, in many ways, tragedy of our time, and really almost unspeakable that it goes on. But fortunately, for those millions of women and girls still being held in the sex trade, there is Somali Mom, who got out and who survived to tell her story and to fight every day to end this modern form of slavery. Would you share your story with us and the Somali Mom Foundation? You might want to go to the podium.
I can sit here.
All right, fine.
Thank you. First of all, I just would like to say thanks to all of you. Thank to you. When I know that you are here, I feel better because I'm always scared and afraid. And Maria, thanks. Thank to all of you. Talking about the mother, when I saw the subject about the mother for me is meaning a lot because I have been born without family, without mother, without nothing. Just have been born without name. It's not easy. But my life, I have been so, okay, right now it's I think. Which one is work? Okay. I have been sold in the brothel when I was quite young, very young. And then, brothel life is not like the life like you all see when you go to Thailand, you see, the girl there in the brothel. Our brothel is mean like we are in the cage. They put us in the cage. We have no choice to get out, waiting a clients. And completely, if you don't agree to have the clients, they beating you. They put you in the cage. I don't know how to tell you about the cage. Nick Christoph he was in Cambodia and he take a picture about the cage. They put us in the cage where you can find the scorpions, snake, can beat us. But my body or Sina body, our girl body, we have the same. I never feel hurt. I don't feel hurt. What is hurt me is about mother. It's about mother. It's about women. It's about the people. I remember when I was in the brothel, each time I look at the women, no one of the women look at us. No one asks the questions. That is horrible. And then that is the thing that I would like to share with all of you. The girl who are in the brothel, who are now you see them in the brothel, a lot of the people, they ask the question, why she's not escaped from the brothel? She's free. I was free after in the cage. I cannot escape it. You know why? Why I have to escape? For what? For whom? What is hope for me? Who helped me? No one's. And then I just feel that I'm a slave. So that I just want to share you a little bit about that. And also, like I talked with Pat, and I'm able to escape from the brothel because one day in the brothel, I have a friend of mine. She's younger than me. She may be around 10s, because she knew she have every day the clients, 20 clients. They stitch her, sew, stitch her, and have the client all the time. The client have to feel that she's pain and she have some blood. That is mean that she's virgins. I have no idea about month and day. I'm sorry for that. I cannot give you how much she was with me. And she looked like me, a lot of dark skin. And so she's the one that I talked to her. And one day she come to me, she tell me, today I have my periods. And they just stitched me. So, she asked me, look at me. Now I cannot take her clients. And I tell her we cannot help her. Around nighttime, like I tell you, we have no time, no idea about the time and day. And the owner bring us all together. And he tell us that we are the slave. So we have to do what he tell us. This girl, she didn't listen to him. So we all sit together, but no chair. We sit on the ground. He take a gun and shoot her. So of course, all her blood and her bring it to me. So that the day that I realized I had to run away and take a gun and kill him. I never have idea that is the day that I'm out of the brothel. Thank you, her. If it's not her, I'm not here today. So when I get out, I have a man, like foreigner man from Switzerland. He looked at me that my body was so dirty and all infections because I was in the cage. So on affection my body, and he tell me why I'm not going to the hospital. And I look at him crazy. Why I have to go to hospital? Why? My body is a dirty body. I hate myself. And I'm dying inside. So why we die inside? You have nothing, you feel nothing. I never feel anything. And then he's the one who's helping me out. So I listen to all the women here. You all have a great idea. You have dream. I never have dream and idea. Not idea, nothing. I try to survive for my parent adoptions, because when I get out and then I meet them, and they're very poor. They have been my mother, she has been sold in a brothel too. She has been adopting like 24 children, and they have no food. So I have to sacrifice my life, the last life. So talking about the sacrifice the life for the family, for this family, because I'm nothing. I'm that inside. I tell you. So I married with my husband. That he's very great man, but I never love him. I can't. We stay along together. He bring me to France. 1 year, I cannot close my eyes because all my dream, when I close my eyes, I can never sleep. When I close my eyes, I see all the smell, all the torture that the people give to us. I see everything, so I tell him, we have to go back to Cambodia. I can't. So that when we go back to Cambodia, I start working. I start to go to the brothel to see the girl. That is start my work. So I start with all help and everything. More than 10 years. Of course, I have a lot of people come to visit me. I have the center, I have 100,000 of girls that we have been saved. But, you know, I start 1994 until 2006, 2007. Sometime in my center, I have no food. I can tell you, I was traveling here to I was traveling to Europe around. I was telling you, I was inviting in Europe, Commission Europeans. I try to talk about my story, about my work. I feel the people, they don't care. And then talking about this mother, talking about that, I just asked her the permission if I can talk. So in 1996, the center, we have 5 center, 500 girls. I have no food. At the same time, my kid had been kidnapping because of my work. And I make 4 days to found her. Found her, and one day, the same day, I had to leave her to Germany. I come here. Germany made me like, I live here now because Maria's here. She's like my friends. But it's made me also hate here. When I saved her one day, I had to leave her. And because they will make me give money to the center. So she take a drug. She want to commit suicide. And I had to leave her. Sorry. I'm strong. I don't have to cry. I'm strong. So I talked with Emmanuel Colino, he's French. He tell me, crazy, don't go. I tell him, I need money. I need money. I need to feed the kid in the center, 500. I have 1 kid. I know if she commits suicide, she dies 1. How about 500? So I tell him, he's a lawyer. He's great, from France. And I tell him, you look after her. And I have 1 lawyer, Indian lawyer. She said, you take care of her. I'm going to Germany for 3 days. Because they promised me they give money. I come here, my heart is break. Emmanuel called me all the time. I give a speech, go back home. But they exploit me, they don't give money.
This morning, Somaly got some really very bad news. One of the young...
No, it's just like, it's clean my teeth.
No, it's in the work that you do, Somaly. There is terrible news every day, and you're right. We all hear it, and our hearts break, but we don't do enough.
Yeah, so I just want to let you know that more than 10 years I was lonely. And for that, I had to thank the state. In 2004, I have received a treatment very bad. In the center, they take all the girl, they burn. They have been killed, 8 of girl of the victim. And then who come to protect me? From Vital Voice, from Madame Hillary Clinton's, from state. They come the first. And I have my friend passport. Various French people come to help me. And also talking about that, so I just want all of you to realize the people who are on the field work, we face every day, when we wake up, we face because we have to save the girl from the brothel. We face because the culture treats us bad. I know when you talk about the girl 7 years old going to the court, and the court say it was her fault. It's so sad. And then we just need one thing. You are here. We can have the result, but it's very urgent. We can save the girl from the brothel. How to end the sex slave? It's not us. It's not me. It's not we. It's not us on the field. We can bring you the reality. So I was very sad. In 1998 and 2008, I was in the United States. I have been received a word from Madame Hillary Clinton. She helped me to found the Somaly Mom Foundations. And now we have money. Maria was visiting us, burger, prize award. Now we have money, we have center. And my girl have a dream. Before, they are small. Look at which one work.
Let me see if I can.
Oh, can you go up? No, Anna, no. Not the first, at the beginning.
Somaly, you just said something that I think the audience here this morning wants to hear from you.
That, example like her, she had been sold by her mother. We bring her to the court. She's 4 years old. How she can talk to the court? No juvenile court. What is the justice? Where the justice for the victim? She loses in the court. So talking about violence, she was in the cage. They put her in the cage because the brothel owner, they believe that she's the bad luck people. That is a woman. She was in the brothel very quite young. She cut herself. It's not the people cut her. The brothel owner beat her, but she cut herself because she felt it's her fault. Straight mind, don't take a picture from my kid because I don't close the eyes. Straight mind, the little girl, she got HIV/AIDS. She had been sold 4 years old. Today she stand up, she's inspired. Alisa, you love her. She's a great woman. In the brothel, we have to visit. That is all my work. So you can go and then I talk about you can. That is.
This is the center.
So what is my work today? My work today is empower the victim. Because the victim, they are completely destroyed. I have been empowered by all of you. All of you empower me. The speaker that I meet each time, you hug me, you love me, you tell me Somaly is great, what are you doing? You empower me. I have no idea about that, but I just realized that all of you, each of people that I meet, you empower me. My life, we try to empower the victim to become a survivor and empower the survivor to become a part of solutions. Who can talk better than the survivor? So today, I have Sina one, she's there. Sina? We've been saved her when she was 12 years old. She's now the co-director in our association. We have 3 centers in Cambodia. We have 2 in Vietnam, 2 in Laos. That is our work. So I don't want to talk about all the channel about the work because the work is so, you can go to our website. But I know that each of you can help us. You can participate with us, like example, like Maria. When you fly, you just tell me one day before, Somaly, I'm landing. I want all of you to come to see the reality. The reality, what are we suffering? We are loved. The story is very heavy. All of you scared. Don't scare us. It's heavy, but it's so hope. It's so love. It's hopeful because one girl, when we saved them from the brothel, 4 or 5 years old, you look at them, they're so sad. 10 years later now, 2 of them going to law school. And I have 12 voices going around. And they give me hope, and then they need nothing. They need you, first of all, your heart. They need it. We need money, but it's not about just money.
Is it also about what the legal system can do, Somaly? How do you feel about the new laws in Sweden and some other countries that are attempting to take the sex slavery issue to the people who are continuing it? The demand side, the men who are going into these brothels, who are buying these services, who are seeing these girls in these circumstances. So can the law make a big difference?
Yes. The law, extraterritorial law, right?
Extradition.
Extradition law can help. Can help because in Cambodia, most of the clients, 70% are Cambodia, but for the little girl, is a pedophile. So we have a lot of pedophiles come in Cambodia. We arrest them, they pay, and they leave. And sometimes they've been covered by their own embassy. That you think it's fair for us? It's not fair. Srema, the one you see, her first client, he's foreigner. Sina, her first client is foreigner. So sometimes I just want to ask a question to all the people here who are protecting these people. If it's worth your kid, what did you think? So you might tell me, Mommy, when you go to Europe or to United States, can you tell all these men, few minutes of their pleasure, they kill me, I have to die and I don't want to die. So by extraterritorial law, you can help because you can punish them, you can put them in the jail. But of course, we need always commitment from the political. Right. Political have to have commitments.
Right. And there are many women here this morning and at this conference who have a powerful and important political voice. And I think what Somaly is saying is that we must use this voice to put this issue in front of everyone. It's very difficult to look at. It's very difficult to talk about or to hear about. But it is a reality. It's a reality for so many, many who have suffered in the way Somaly has. So we can end it. We can. We ended slavery before in this world. We can certainly end this. But it takes, as you say, heart first, awareness, and then speaking up and in positions wherever we may be. Yes, supporting, but also working to get the laws on the books and to get them held accountable. And we have seen what happens when women take this into their own hands, as you did to end your situation. As Hibaaq, you have witnessed and been a part of the women in the Middle East rising up and saying, we will not wait for change, we will make it ourselves, and as you, Lorea, have indicated must happen in Mexico too. We have only a few minutes, well, maybe 12. I'd like to give you a chance to respond to what you've heard and to ask specific questions. And they're not mics, but I'll repeat your question if you say it loudly. I always feel that people have so much that they're feeling and thinking when hearing the stories like this. So let me give you an opportunity to respond or to ask a follow-up question if you would like. If not, I'll continue with the conversation.
I just want to add something, and I think going back to political will and to culture, I mean, Cancun and Acapulco have become centers of child pornography in the last 20 years, and of prostitution, of child prostitution. And I believe it is fairly easy to detect which tourists are coming for sex tourism, where are they going. Airlines can monitor it, police people can monitor it, hotel people can monitor it, but for example in Cancun, there's no will to stop this. Now there's some money that is being made and there is a bribery going on, but mostly there's no will. There's no awareness, and when you say to us, like, what happens if this is your child, people don't see that. People is like, no, that is the other child. That is not my problem. That is something else. But it's happening now in Mexico. It's happening in our backyard. It is our children. And
And it can be
there's
tracked.
no will is terrible.
Right. In Sweden, there is a law on the books, and it has made a difference in that country in sex tourism. There's a law on the books in New York and a few other states in the U.S. And if that law is enforced, it can begin to cut the demand, and that's where it has to start. Hibaaq, what do you want from the rest of the women in the world and in terms of the support now? What to ensure that what we have seen in this enormous frontline change, that could change everything if it continues?
I'm so depressed. I don't know what to say. You know, I work on politics and analysis and think tanks and, you know, meeting parliamentarians, and it makes it so irrelevant when you listen to stories like this, like, I'm sorry. I think it's a global issue. It's not just Asia or Africa or anywhere. It's a global issue. There has to be a political will. One, you need to have governments that are willing to implement the laws. There is a law in many countries that are ready to implement that. And you need to have also our sisters in Europe, in other countries, to also work with their governments. I think we have some parliamentarians, I don't know if we have them, but I'm sure we have them in the meeting. And I think it's extremely important that they work very hard to come up with harsh laws against, trafficking. I think the political will has to be there. It's possible. It's not impossible. It's something that can be done, you know. So I think it's, like Laura was saying and like you are saying, it's not your child. It's happening somewhere else. But I'm telling you, this is really a global issue, and we have to all put our hands together politically and try to bring in change, immediate change.
Yes.
But thank you. It's frustrating for me how the West or other more developed countries are sort of detached because it's not happening. They think it's not happening in their backyard. And it makes me sick to my stomach that people will fly, Lufthansa, to go and, rape a 4-year-old in Cambodia. I mean, what the hell is going on?
Yes.
You want to kill someone.
Well, we don't want to fight violence with more violence, even though it certainly feels like it sometimes, a conversation.
You have to really mirror yourself and see exactly who you are and what you are doing. Right. It's whatever.
Abby, you wanted to say something?
I think that we'll have political will when we raise the political price. Up until now, we have never ensured that people paid for not having the political will. So that's on us women. We need to make sure that Somalia are as much my sister as my sister in New York, and I care as much about you and what happens to the women that you work with and the girls that you work with as if it were happening down the street from me. And if I care enough, then I will get up off of my rear end and I will make some noise. The people we need to target aren't necessarily the perpetrators. We've never targeted the tolerators. And if we raise the price for tolerating this, then there will be the political will to bring it to an end.
Such a good point. I just want to mention that on July 18th, which is coming up soon, there's going to be a Press Charges Day, a global rally all over the world, beginning in Africa, but going all over the world to say to women everywhere, when you are assaulted, when you are raped, when you are harassed at work, when you feel the impact and effect of violence, press charges. That's the way we begin to at least hold this society, as well as the individual perpetrators, collectively responsible. But such a good point, Abby. Tolerators also. And that, of course, begins with us.
But also, Pat, it's, if you look at, for example, I was looking in Somalia, for example, in the 90s, when UNICEF, when the United Nations, with peacekeepers, from Italy, from Africa, from other parts, they were raping the women. And there was not even a place for the women to complain. And when some of the women were taken to Italy to testify against the soldiers, And some parliamentarians look at them and say, excuse me, you actually are, accusing the soldiers who came to save you that they raped you. So there was no political will in that. If you look at when I was working in Afghanistan, I mean, the Pakistani government was involved in the trafficking of children. So it's beyond just one country or any country. It's extremely important that we really look at it as a global issue, as an economic issue, and a political issue, which is important. But we have to have the willingness and knowing that we can act. We have to believe that we can end it.
And it begins when people like Somali stand up and courageously tell our story and continue to tell the story until people listen. You wanted to say something?
Thank you, because I tell you again and again, because all of you supporting me and empower me and inspire me. But what I want to tell also, because in Cambodia, like 5 years ago, it's so difficult with the culture, with the political people. And I think that one thing we have to make also the pressure, on 2004 and 2006, when my center had been kidnapping, we have 8 girls have been killed. When the story of my daughter, the State Department come to Cambodia, and they make the pressure to the country. Right now the country is get better. It's really better and better. Of course, they kill a lot of political people, they kill each other, but on law enforcement, we get better. It's not better like the woman say yesterday, the big, but it's 2%, 1%, but anyways, give me hope. And also, right now we have Voices for Change, so the group of survivors, like Sina, they go into the community, talking with the parents. It's like, they're not your slave. You sell them for, this girl, we saved her 3 months ago. She's 3 years old, have been sold in the brothel. And what is make her hurt? Make us hurt. It's not about raping, but after you have to bring her to the hospital, clinic, and reparations. It's make her that. But again and again, the story is a heavy story, but we have home. This kid is a great kid. And I want to talk to all the kids around the world. It's not just Cambodia, because I'm from Cambodia, but I work in Vietnam, in Laos, and everywhere in Africa. I meet with the great and brave women. I would like to all of you who have power to empower them, bring them. I'm okay, I know a lot of people, but we have a lot of people like myself in Congo. We have a lot of women who try, who suffer and try to work, try to risk their life. Bring them up here, listen to them, empower them. It's like what I wish to European, to all of you, and European have to take good example from the United States for the pedophile. Like I tell her, since I work more than 10 years, I never success on the pedophile men in Europe, but we get success in the United States. The pedophile have been raped a lot of girls, they make injection, the girl cannot work. We arrest him, he go to Miami. State Department send the people. It took 7 years, but we arrest him. Right now he's in the jail for 30 years. That is a great, when it took time.
That is a great story.
But it's a great thing, and then I would like all of you, we suffer. We can survive with hope. We can survive with your support. We can survive, like Sina said yesterday in the journalist, she say, I'm dying inside, we are all dying inside. Our work, we keep working, we are crazy, we're working. And we need it. If not, we have to go to psychology. So, and I don't want to lose the time to go to psychology. No.
So, but that's a hopeful note on which to end at least this panel's official conversation on this subject. But I have a feeling that we will be continuing to talk about this issue throughout our time together. And I want to thank Hibaaq and Lorea and Somaly, and certainly in their stories, we do see the hope of what the world will look like, what the image of the world will be when women and girls can be fully educated, fully empowered, fully realizing their potential. So let's think of it as the mother of all issues and think that it could be our mother, our sister, our daughter, our friend, ourselves. Violence is our issue. Thank you.